Hello everyone, and thank you for staying this late at the conference. So I'm going to show you some ongoing work on the alluvial plain of the Bassée, showing that it's an evolving landscape, and I'm going to focus on river pass changes and some preliminary results on paleo-environments. So what was the purpose of the study at the beginning? The general context was the study of abandoned channels in process perspective at the beginning, and we keep working on it because they're good markers of past river dynamics and discharge. They also contain archives of paleo-environments, and especially in this project, they have sedimentary heterogeneities which are of interest for hydrology purpose because they have an impact on subsurface flow. So here's a sketch of different types of abandoned channel. So you're on the plain, you have the main river, which you can see in blue, and then you have different types of channels, some generated by ablution, other by cutoffs, and they're basically filled with clays, with some sand at the entrance that basically block the flow. And that's some heterogeneities. The result is that if you do hydraulic simulation, you have the result on the right side. So we generated some colleague of mine did that. Abandoned channel filled with clay, and you can see the direct impact of abandoned channel on the earth's velocity because they are very impermeable features. So in the frame of the Pier and Sand project, we studied those paleo channels in the Bassée alluvial plain with the purpose to characterize their geometry for hydrologic purpose, and also to have some constraint on their past configuration and dynamics. So the Bassée alluvial plain, some of you know a bit better than me. It's located upstream of Paris. So you have the on the left-hand side, you have the DM of the Seine River catchment. You have Normandy. I want to see that. Okay, so you have Paris around here. Here you have Fontainebleau, and the Bassée alluvial plain is here. And from old maps from the 60s, you can see numerous abandoned channels in here, which witnessed with the Seine River in the past. Today, because of aggregate quarrying, it's difficult to find them as easily. So, well, it's a problem in the area, but we still have a nice abandoned channel which are still preserved. So here's a DM of the area. So you have the town of Montreux here, the town of Nogent. Currently, the Seine River is a single thread channel, and we've done some sampling and studies in several areas. So we focused in area where channels were well visible on the DM, so that we can measure some geometrical parameters. And I'm going to focus for this presentation on the Vampel area, where we did several transits. So the methodology is the following. We go on the field, we do some mapping of the channel and their geomorphic features. And so this example of Vampel, this is a 3-4 kilometer long thread channel. And we did several cross sections. And we use hand auger to have a look at the sediment and collect samples inside the channels. And we also did some core sounding in the organic muscle. Well, the section is a lot of organic material, and it's not the part of. I'm not the one doing that, but we use that for paleo-environmental reconstruction. So after the abandonment of the channel. So here are the results for the cross section. So you can see. So this is the map. You have 3 sections: E, D, and C, which are located. This one is upstream. This one is downstream. And here you can see the position of the soundings, and here are the interpreted cross sections. So what you can see is that in the upstream part it's more sandy, and in the downstream part it's more clay. There's more clay. So that's the mark of the paleo sand plug that help the disconnection between the channels. So on the clay part, we did some radiocarbon sampling, and we could constrain an accumulation rate, which is about a bit less than a millimeter per year in that area. Another interesting part from the analysis of the radiocarbon and the interpretation of the cross-section is here. So if you look at the downstream part here, so the last phase of filling of the channel, you have age ranking from 1600 to the present, and that's the age are very consistent. But if you look upstream, inside the point bar, there's a clay layer, which is much longer, and for us that suggests a phase of abandonment. So at some point the channel was here, and the limit was perhaps, the outer line was perhaps here. The channel stopped working, and then it got filled by clay, and then it was reoccupied, and the system was reactivated. And I'm going to show you some results done by my work done by my colleague Patrick Bouge, which showed very consistent behavior in another place of the area. So that's the part I'm less familiar with, so please be kind. So we used from the core we sampled several proxies, and the one I'm going to show you was fortunately presented by Lucas Dendeviel yesterday. So it's basically the same if you want to understand that. So we used titerator. My colleague André-Marie at Mentis did that. So titerator are basically lipid molecules, and because of the stress of environmental factor, their shape property can change. So in theory, you can go back to those signals such as pH or paleo temperature using the relative abundance of these molecules. That's what I understand so far. What you have to be aware of, though, is that there's a descent error on the temperature. So remember that what I'm showing you are preliminary results, and that there's a certain uncertainty with them. And we're doing some more work on clump isotopes, so it's on the same sample. And so we're going to look at shells, and we're going to analyze the isotopic content. And well, results are encouraging because the trend shows a non-period of temperature variation. And we also have some data on whales. Here as well, I'm just showing the interpretation and the table to do that. And so it's basically dominated by an open area, and we see some two variations. One is of segmentary feature, which is the alluvial forest, which well decrease and start increasing again, going back into this period. And also the other interesting part is that aquatic species decrease, which is consistent with the filling of the progressive filling of the channel. Okay, and I'm done with that part. So the reason why we're looking at channels that we can look at properly is because we can do some measurements, and we're doing some tests on looking at the radius of curvature versus bank-foot width. So bank-foot width is basically measuring the distance between the two levees of the channels. And radius of curvature is basically using fitting circles on the bend of the channels. And there are some empirical relationships which exist. And we did that for range as wide as possible of channels that we could find in the area. And well, the main result is that we see a huge variation of channel size in the area, from 20 to more than 400 meter wide channels, and we hope to date all of them, but it's not over yet. And the other part, is the interesting part, is that they mostly align with the non-relationships, except for some points, and they're mostly above the relationship. That I'm not sure what to do with it. You have the modern sense system, which is here, so it's below the regression, but it's a domesticated sense, so well, it's been dredged a lot, so we know of it, and also the bank has been stabilized, so in order to help the flow to accelerate and probably prevent further sedimentation at the bottom. And another interesting feature is an old channel I'm going to talk about, which is also with similar properties. So we work on several channels, and we know from archaeological data that there's much more than that, and we have yet to integrate them to our study. But if we try to map that a little bit, here's the Euzen channel that I talked about. It joins with the I think it's the Auxence here, and then goes to Bassée, which was studied by my colleague Patrick and others. We also have, that's the system I call A, and we have another system called B, which may be found in this area and in this area. And if we compare radiocarbon dating, so here you have the ages, and I just put with stars the ages found within the channel for these different systems. So we have evidence for reactivation, that's what I showed you in the Nampel area. The interesting part is that in Bassée there's so that's the area that connects with the Euzen. We have a similar age that's been recorded, and the Auxence is still active, so it looks like it's behaving in the same way. And we found other interesting features, such as between Balwa and Nampel 2, this area, simultaneous abandonment. So those, for us, are strong evidence for a system that used to work as not as a single thread channel, but as an avalanching system. And last, remember the channel I talked about, which was outside of the general semi-empirical relation by Williams. This same channel, we found so far 2 radiocarbon ages. This one is at the bottom, and this one is in the middle. So there's a stratigraphic inversion. So we disagree within the group, but to me that's we can hypothesize that there's some human intervention in this, but that's definitely helpful for more work. So in conclusion, abandoned channels are geomorphic archives that are complementary to historical and archaeological studies in alluvial plain. Currently working in other areas, such as the Nogent area, also in the Bassée alluvial plain, they witnessed the evolution of the Seine River system through time, with evidence for an avalanching and reactivation of our channels. And as I said, we have ongoing work looking at paleo-discharge evolution and paleo-temperature processes based on the analysis of that. And thank you very much for listening.